Bonjour à tous. Déjà, merci.
Hello, everybody. Thank you to the ITIPMI for giving me the opportunity to talk to you today, to talk about the work we're doing in TerraFarm. Who are we? We are a company who has a very environmental and societal approach, and we want to enrich in agriculture, urban agriculture, thanks to indoor vertical production in a managed atmosphere for managed plants in all seasons. Now, at the heart of our profession, we have medicinal plants. Now, here's the history of TerraFarm. This is a company that was founded in 2018. A first R&D site then was built in 2019. It was built over 200 square meters. At that stage, we had already tested industrial production of aromatic plants and herbs. We were able to test them right up the chain to the commercial stage, and this worked particularly well. However, we did encounter certain issues, if you like, for the last kilometre, and that led us to question the modus operandi of the company. So we had a first contact with one client, like I say, in 2020 from the group Shiseido, and this steered us towards nutri-cosmetic plants and food supplements, with all the added value that you've already heard about today. In 2021, we extended our site. It measured 300 meters square, and we contacted other clients, R&D clients, on plants where there was perhaps a supply chain issue. So we wanted to try and produce them in our own systems, allowing us then to have fresh and local plants. We also got the authorization from the ANSM, one of the 3 companies in France to have this particular authorization for the growing of medicinal cannabis. So this is experimental, and the objective behind this is to organize the sector of medicinal cannabis in France. So that led us to 2022, where we were lucky enough to have the launch of this brand, which Shiseido founded, and that's Ule. And this is founded based on plants which are produced in our indoor vertical farm. We also had the launch of this experiment of cannabis, medicinal cannabis. There was also the construction of a new site, and this time we had industrial produce on site. We have reached a surface level of 750 square meters to become more productive. Here is our business model. As you can see, TerraFarm is a B2B business model. We used to say we use the going as a service as our motto. We're trying to offer the growing of plants with all the services that are linked to it. So you're talking therefore about production, but also about the development of research and development procedures across different subjects. We're going to deal with phytosanitary products, of course, because we do produce without synthetic pesticides. So we're going to have to work on biocontrol, biosecurity proposals, which are not necessarily that easy in indoor farming. We're going to get into agronomy with the research of improving the principal agents. And that goes with what you heard in the earlier speech. We're going to try to modify the growing parameters like fertilizer, temperature, the light, in order to steer the synthesis of the principal essentials for the plant. After, we're going to work, of course, post-culture, post-crop, working on the expectations of the client and trying to make sure we choose the right varietal species, choosing plants which are most adapted to indoor farming. And we're also going to offer marketing aspects, working with the client, making sure the client is able to visit the farm and really communicating about all the advantages linked to our farm. 100% traceability. We're in a closed environment. We choose everything that's going to come into our growing system. Now let's talk technology. We have towers. They're roughly about 3 meters high, and they rotate. Inside these towers, there's a metal cylinder. Now, in there you have the roots. The roots are in the air, and that's why it's called aeroponics. And you can see the roots that they're going to get the nutritional intake, which is sprayed onto them. And inside the towers, you're going to have LED lighting, which is going to bring the necessary light to the growth. We have various stages, obviously. You have a stage with, you have the mother plants, the root stock, the stalk plants, and which we're going to get from cuttings. And once we have our cuttings, when we're going to move to the next stage, we work with nurseries. We're going to look at the temperature, control it, control humidity, control light in order to optimize the development of the roots. And once these roots have developed, we are then going to be able to transfer the plants, into the towers. All the nutritional solutions which are put onto the roots is recovered, and it's going to be sent to the water room, where we're going to recycle and sterilize the solution. And so we're making water savings and fertilizer savings. We control the temperature, we control humidity, and all of this thanks to a dashboard that's in place. We pre-selects what we're doing, and there's a technician who can detect any change in the defined parameters. This is without seasonal constraints or geographical constraints, and of course there are no pesticides. The advantages of our plants are in front of you. Well, health, obviously. There are no pesticides or contaminants within. As I said, 100% traceability and a very uniform quality with the end product. When you finish the plant protocol, it's the same one that you're going to repeat in the next load. So we're going to always have the same response, hopefully. Availability, we're going to have availability all year. No impact from climatic events. You have the roots who are in fresh air, free air, and we're going to be able to protect the roots much better and nourish them. We are able to produce locally, even for exotic plants, because our systems can be installed wherever. And when we're talking about local, then we also add the aspect of it being fresh. There is an advantage for the environment, clearly, with the possibility of being able to have farms grow around where the plant is processed. So less kilometers means saving for the environment, and we're also saving water and fertilizer. And lastly, you've got this what we call precision agriculture. What we're doing is really controlling, optimizing the synthesis of the molecules which are of interest to us and to the plant. I've given you a few examples of the plants that we've been able to work on. There are others, obviously. You're going to have tropical plants locally. We're also going to be able to work on endangered species. We're going to solve problems linked to the supply chain. We're offering freshness. In France today, all tropical flowers are dried and processed. We're also respecting all the regulation on toxicity. And here in front of you, you have an example of one of the possibilities available in terms of collaboration. Shiseido contacted us. They want to develop this in first brand, this beauty brand, using vertical farming, indoor farming. So they contacted us, and here you have products taken by the marketing department to illustrate what we can do. And if you can see them within the setting of roots. So we have really developed three plants, the various forms of basil. And these are plants which the other ones come from Madagascar and India. It's very difficult to get them freshly in this latitude. So we've really focused all our marketing on communication around these three plants, these pre-plants, which have all the components of all the, and these are in all their products. We're looking at a closed short circuit around the plant production of about 300 kilometers. This allows us to have labels of French origin France for plants which are not normally from here. That's the interest of technology up here on the right. We've talked about traceability as well. There's a QR code on all of the bottles. It's very transparent. They can talk about where the batches of plants came from, where the packaging came from, etc. We're very clear in our traceability. And now, in terms of R&D, we've been trying to increase the number of molecules to be synthesized following the plant protocols. We've got 60 crop parameters, which can be listed into 4 categories: biological ones, obviously, the genetic resources, but also light and air and fertile irrigation. It's a nourishing solution that's put on the roots, remember? And then within the heart of the UD project, we started comparing genetic selection from Centella. And here you have an example of the plants that were grown in the same conditions, depending on their genetic origins. They don't necessarily have the same components or the same composition or in secondary metabolites. We worked with a helper on the intensity, on the spectrum, and the light configuration for the plants that we were able to select during production and be able to improve this molecule synthesis.